Whenever this decides to load. Is it working?
Uh,
Hello?
Hold on. Let me reload the page.
Yep, it seems to be working.
Yeah, yeah, and you're on
Is
camera.
it working? Oh shit, it is me. Well, hello everybody! Welcome to the stream. This is the first time I've really done a stream in a while, but it's good to see you all again. My name is Umbruhh and it's about to get Dumbra in here. Welcome to the stream. This is the first time. Oh shit. I had playback in the background. And I'm joined today with a friend. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Howdy, howdy, folks. This is Ranko. Hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. And yes, the YouTube playback is like super delayed.
It's all good, no worries. But yeah, Rangto is a great friend of mine, and his work inspired me, like, to write Bad Apple, and he's helped me with it too, and I thought it would be only fair to have him on stream with me while we do this.
And you give me way too much credit. I'm mostly here for support, all right?
Yeah, I am a shy person, shall we say.
Hey, you're not the only one. I tend to be pretty shy on my end. Well, no, actually, no, not shy, because I can actually be pretty outgoing when I need to. Is that I'm just very antisocial. Let's just say that. Yeah, I'm kind of antisocial. It's
Yeah,
hard for me to come out of my shell, but when I do, oh, watch out.
I feel that. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna take a look at chat right now. Mr. Onion, yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. Like, I think I've been doing this shit since I was 9 too. Like, and I think the first Snoot video I did was actually a shit post back in, like, the July of 2021 where I, like, had the footage of one of the endings from Nier Automata and had like pictures of Fang plastered all over the screen and stuff. Times two? What does that mean? But
Times two. Hmm.
but okay, Judge Tiki, what we're doing today, I want to take this stream to be talking about Bad Apple, as well as answering some questions that you guys may have about the fic. Like, I want to talk about some behind the scenes. I want to talk about just what it's meant to me, and as well as just answering what some of you guys might have to ask because I'm I'm curious if you guys might have things to ask. I probably should have worded that better, but okay.
No, no, you did a good job with that. It's
Yes. Okay. Sweet. So I guess we'll ask you guys first. Would you rather we start with the Q&A now or start with the general background details of Bad Apple, like what inspired me, what was the process like, stuff like that? Let's see. I want to see what you guys would prefer first.
well, if you have my opinion, I would probably say it's probably be better to start with like some behind the scenes. That way we get more people filtering in first. That way when the Q&A comes, you'll have a lot more people asking questions.
Okay, that's a good idea. Details. Okay, that's one, two, three. Um, okay. Yeah, Starman Super sounds like a good idea. So, I guess we're going to start with the background details. So, let's wind back to the distant year of 2021. That's probably the fifth time in a row I've fucking used that sentence in any of my streams or videos. Where like I was real.
Hey,
Hmm?
I was gonna make a joke about Will Smith with the whole rewind time.
Ah, it's rewind time. Yeah, yeah. But this was when I was really enamored by Snoot Game. I kind of had that Snoot high, shall we say, like the things that it in- emotionally did to me on a spiritual level, or not a spiritual level, but basically the stuff it did to me emotionally. And I was following the trash sticky at the time, and I saw like the whole archives that like had all of the fics. I saw like a bunch of what people have made published on like AO3, but I was mainly checking the Mega archive at the time, and I saw some of the fics that people made, and the three fics that really stood out to me the most are A Better End by yours or Rankto. I don't know why I said yours truly. I'm not Rankto. But yeah.
uh,
But yeah,
well,
Mark,
yeah.
I the Gosling Highs. Surprise visits. And Perfect Situation. Like those are,
Those are really good. Yeah.
yeah. But
I
and I was I remember making a fic back when I was I think 12 or 13. It was a Blaze Blue fic. It was really shitty, I'll be honest. But it's actually where I got the name Umbruhh from. I named the character Umbruhh, and when I got past my shitty old username, I was like, okay, that would be better. But that's besides the point. Then it kind of inspired me to make a fic of my own, and at the time I was still figuring out like what do I want the fic. I was actually deciding whether or not like if it was going to be an ending one fic or an ending two fic. Either those two ones, because I feel like there's stuff you can continue with that. And I decided to go with ending one because I feel like ending one definitely impacted me more than ending two did. Like I felt like ending two, it was sad, but it didn't have it didn't hit me the same way ending one did. Like,
well, ending one is just absolute devastation from the moment it starts till the moment it ends. It's just devastation, the complete and utter sorrow. Whereas ending two is more, I wouldn't call it melancholic, but it's more realistic in the sense that you could see this happening to anyone, and it's sad, but it's more of a long lasting sadness. It's not as immediate, it's not like condensed, essentially.
yeah, of course. And like, I just thought how ending one was executed, no pun intended, it was just really well executed. Just everything building up, how those characters developed or just not developed, I guess. It, I thought, was really like this was an ending based off of the fucking memes back in 2020 when Goodbye Volcano High was released, and it's the one where Fang's in the hallway shooting up the school and saying, "Goodbye, Volcano High." I remember laughing at that meme, but when I saw it actually happen, like, I was broken, bros. But, but it really, stuck out to me, that ending in particular, and I noticed not a lot of people did ending one fix or post ending one fix, like mainly either ending two or ending three fix, and I wanted to kind of do something unique with that and have a unique term or a unique twist on it, like because there's been a lot of times in my life. I mean, I'm not by any means comparing myself to what happened in the game, but there's been a lot of times in my life where I've been through some pretty rough times, like, and like it made me feel despair. But like one thing I've learned is that even when your days seem the darkest, like it's always possible to find hope, to find a way forward, basically find light. Like it's happened to me a few times with like um, being ostracized when I was younger, losing my father at, I think I was 17, and also just the pandemic. But one of the messages I kind of wanted to explore with Bad Apple was just there's always a path forward, and it's always possible to find light in the darkest of times. And I also wanted to explore the themes of grief a lot with Bad Apple as well, since there's a lot of the four main characters like Anon, Stella, Rosa, and Trish. Like a lot of their key characters deal with grief in different ways. Like with Anon, it's blaming himself for everything and just closing himself away. With Stella, it's just how much she was in shock from the shooting, how she was kind of like that broken shell of a girl, just really scared to do anything. With Rosa, it was constantly worrying about everyone, like especially Stella or her family, especially because not only did she lose her father at a young age, but she also witnessed a lot of people die in the shooting. So she kind of felt like she had lack of control. So she wanted to. It made her paranoid and obsessive. And then yeah, like Trish, as Ranger Combs mentioned, like she takes a more wrathful approach, like putting the blame on one person, although she does have a lot of self-hatred and put it on herself too. And it just like she was already going through some vitriolic she was already at a vitriolic stage in her life, and that just made her hatred even more venomous to the point where it consumed her. And a fun fact too, like I wasn't sure whether or not like the romantic interest was going to be Stella or Rosa at first. Like funny enough, like yeah, definitely
So what you're so what you're saying is that the, technically or theoretically speaking, there is a Bad Apple universe out there where Rosa is the main love interest. Um,
maybe
so instead of Bad Apple, it would have been Bad Rosa.
maybe. I think Bad Apple was always going to be the title. That's another thing I want to get into too. Exactly, like why I went with the name Bad Apple and why I kind of got it from the Tohu songs. Like because around the same time I was reading these fics, and after I played Snoot Game, I think I was reading like the N2 or N1 fics at the time, especially since I just got I just got them in game. But Jesus Christ. Bad taco. But around the same time there was I was scrolling, I don't know if I was like in bed looking at videos or in the bathtub. Subscribe for free bathwater giveaway. Um I was looking at videos, particularly just whatever came up on my feed, and one of them was actually a comic for a alternate Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village kind of thing, where I think it was like if Ethan didn't kill Beneviento, and the song that was playing in it really stuck out to me, and like more so than the actual comic, and that was the Liz Robinette cover of Bad Apple, which is kind of like the one I focused on more rather than like the actual Bad Apple like song where it's like the anime ish kind of one with the shadow arts. But it really compelled me. Like there aren't many songs like that kind of have that kind of impact on me. And just when I heard that song paired with what I was kind of feeling with the fix and the story and everything, it kind of gave me the idea of, or it kind of helped the idea, like, of figuring out what the story would be like. And, uh, yeah, that's why it's called Bad Apple. And like, if some of you may know this, but like, if you looked at the chapters, all of them were like direct references to lyrics from the English version. Like, the first one, Fade to Black, then Carousel of Agony, then Can't Break Free. Like, all of them supposed to be references in a way. The Eternal Chronicler. Well, mainly what I've just been talking about right now is, I guess some of the background details of Bad Apple, like what inspired it or how it happened. And so once I got all of those figured out, like I started like storyboarding, I started writing down possible ideas, and then I think I wrote like started writing the first chapter in like September of 2021, but I was also going to school at the time, although I didn't last long in that program because it wasn't for me. So I was writing, figuring out what would be the best, and I actually posted it to, I think, one of those paste bin websites at first, like an early copy, but like there were some things it needed fixing with, so I kind of took the criticism I had and kind of applied that to when I eventually posted it on AO3. And trying to think what else. And I think I actually figured out how exactly the story would go like before I published the first chapter. I just wasn't expecting how long it would take me to write. Just with life in the way, was working full time for a bit too, and just ADHD, like, it's a bitch. But yeah,
Oh yeah, I can fully agree with that. I
yeah.
also suffer from it. Well, mine is ADD. I don't even have the hyperactive part of it.
Well, it's like I struggle with focus at times, or like when I do focus, it's always on like shit that I should not be focusing on right now. Like, I need to search up specs for GPUs that I don't even need right now. And it's weird, like, I didn't really expect this to happen to me. I think it started to come out during the pandemic with lockdown and everything. But the thing, I guess, going back to Bad Apple, and I guess some of the background things about it too, is there was a lot of parts in the story and characters that were kind of inspired by things I've had to deal with in my life, and how they handle things, how they reacted to things, as well as their experiences were kind of like inspired by things that happened to me. Although, thankfully, I've never broken my leg and I've never been in a school shooting because I live in Canada. But that's another point. That's another thing entirely. Sorry, but I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I should bring up, like as far as background details go?
You could potentially go, if you want, you could go like chapter by chapter and
Hmm,
whatnot.
could do that. Yeah. I originally wasn't sure, I guess, what the I'm having a brain fart here. Um how long each chapters would be, but I didn't want to have them too short cuz I don't know. I feel like they needed to be long to kind of have that development and have that plot progression in. And there were some chapters where I said, okay, this won't be as long as the last one, I promise you, and they end up being pretty long too. But it's definitely enjoyable to write it nonetheless. But I guess as for chapters, I guess additional chapters, there were a few interesting things that never did kind of make the final cut. Like, I think in what was it? I think chapter 2, for example, like when Anon has that hallucination with Nasir or Nasser. I kind of call him Nasser now since Goodbye Volcano High. when he has that hallucination in the reflection of Rose's window, that was originally supposed to be just him following him through the halls of the apartment, to the point where Anon started running away and Nasser started chasing him. But I feel like it would have been better to have him in the presence of Rosa so she can kind of figure out what's Anon's going through, as well as kind of like deepening the relationship that they have as friends. And I think, trying to think what else for chapter, trying to think like if there's any other major details, because I can't think of it on the top of my head. But oh, well, one thing, I think I was originally planning to be for Mo to be a bit more villainous, shall we say, like in Bad Apple, where like he had no sympathy to Anon and like he gladly called out the hit on it rather than reluctantly doing so. But I decided to go with the route of him being sympathetic to Anon, since Mo, like, I got the feeling where it's like he's this fun and goofy guy in Snoot Game. I also get the feeling like he's wise and he knows a thing or two about what's going on with people, and he he's one of the people that like realizes that Anon must be going through some shit himself, and like he can't, you can't put all the blame on him, because at the end of the day Fang shot up Volcano High rather than Anon. So I wanted to kind of have that part where, as much as Mo did love Fang and Nasser, like he understood that Anon was going through shit too. Yeah, Italian families, man. Well, I remember like in chapter 6 I kind of had that fuck, what's the word, cliffhanger, where Mo shows up at his doorstep, and I kind of wanted to throw people off and make people think that Mo was there to attack Anon, but yeah, like it was fun to play around with cliffhangers, especially the chapter 11 one with the gunshot. But yeah, like there is a part of Mo that blames Anon, especially since Mo gave him the advice to be supportive and to listen, and as he said clearly, Anon didn't do that well enough. So he does place the blame on him there, but he's smart enough to know that the blame isn't entirely on Anon. And I think for other key plot details, this isn't so much what was originally going to happen, but an explanation for like why, I guess, in my story I had Trish had romantic feelings for Fang. Cause like, I mean, before Goodbye Volcano High was released, I was convinced that the love interest for Fang, or the primary one, was going to be Trish, especially from the vibes I got from the original trailer. And I think like I snuck into the co-op Discord one time and I saw Trish was like the only bot in the server that kind of had like one of those roles that are dedicated to a certain character. Like she was part of the Fang Club. So I kind of got the vibes that like while their friendship was very strong in Snoot Game, I feel like there was possibly more to it. Like that it wasn't entirely platonic. At least that's my take on it. And yeah. And there was going to be a couple of things different, like trying to think. Originally the dream sequence was like a last minute thing, like in chapter 11, but I feel like it would have been good to have that, like, to kind of help Anon come to terms with what his guilt and whatnot. But yeah, yeah, the romantic relationship with Naomi and GVH, it did indeed felt like a shitpost, and it felt like completely out of left field, if I'm even saying that phrase right, and really creepy too. Like, hey guys, I'm gonna stalk, or hey Fang, I'm gonna stalk you for most of the year or most of the days because the passage of time is still really unclear. You wanna go on a date with me? No, this is creepy. Actually, you know what, on second thought, and they get into a relationship, like, no, what? Like,
Uh, yeah, that whole plot progression thing was just like so uncomfortable.
yeah.
Like, could you imagine if the freaking like if the genders had been reversed in that
Yeah!
particular situation?
Yeah, if it was a guy, like, sending her that shit, or them that shit, because Fang is non-binary in GVH, but, like, that would be rightfully seen as creepy, just because Naomi is a lady, like, that doesn't mean it's not creepy, like, Jesus. I wish it gave me the option to kind of be more mean to Naomi, because, oh, thank you for the subscription, or thank you for subscribing, Heretic, or Heretic Doom videos, but, yeah, I just wasn't a fan of that romantic plotline, and, I mean, the L&L stuff I did kind of like, too, well, I mean, there were some parts of it I didn't like the whole, the writers trying, totally not shoving their fetishes into the campaign, like with certain moments, like the whole, mud voring people, and yeah, but oh, sorry, thank you, Heretic, but I did like the art style. I also do like that they gave Fang a scythe because I'm totally not obsessed with scythes at all. But I'm trying to think because I'm getting off topic a little bit. As for like, I guess what was originally going to happen with some areas, like, I wasn't sure. Well, actually, no. Like, Sage wasn't the only person that mentioned it too. Like, I think there was this one line where it was about the, as Reed quotes, the mud sucking on the feet of the adventurers, and Rosa says something like, "Can I just pretend the mud is Kev?" And then if you took one of the routes where you get a skeleton, I think they get the skeleton to call Naomi mommy over and over again. Oh god, don't get me started on just GVH cell in general. I still have PTSD over that. But I guess going back to the Bad Apple stuff, like for chapter 11, like this was probably the one that had the most amount of changes. Yeah. It was a I remember making I think a shit post about it. Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. But there was like a lot of changes I had, like I wasn't sure like if I wanted to have the botanical showcase or have some kind of concert going on, so it develops Anon's skills as an audio editor. I feel like the Rosa Botanical Garden worked better because it shows how supportive Anon has become. Like he's went from like this apathetic shell of a person to like somebody who deeply cares about his friends and wanting to support them. And I feel like it was important to Rosa's character growth as well, like finally being able to achieve what she wanted to and live up to her father, I guess. And then but the whole Trish shooting thing and the plot twist, that was planned for the longest time, and prepared myself for receiving a bunch of messages being like, "What the fuck happened? Stella lives, right? Right? Right?" I was actually more surprised that like people were worried about Rosa the most in that case, but thankfully, as you figured out, none of them died. But well, except for Trish. But I didn't want to have that as like a whole, yay, the villain is dead kind of thing. Like, because at the end of the day, Trish was suffering too, and granted, she caused a lot of her own issues too, but like I went back into saying before, like the thing about grief and losing someone that close to you is it can bring out the absolute worst in you. And yeah, Stella got shot, like specifically in her shoulder. Oh shit. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that this this stream is gonna have
Yeah,
spoilers.
you've been spoiling the entire thing.
Sorry about that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is a post-story stream, so
yeah, I
we gotta.
kind of would be expected, but yeah, but yeah, but thankfully, no, Stella and Rosa survived. Although, like Rosa specifically, like it, she had her, excuse me, just burped, her own fair share of hell afterwards. Like seeing like that happen again, like seeing someone die at the school that she saw a lot of people die at previously, like that reopened the wounds and broke her. And the kind of thing I wanted to lead with chapter 12 is like, because the characters are particularly at a low point where like Anon kind of regressed to that person he was at the beginning of the story, where he's like, "Oh, this is all my fault. Everything is so fucked and everything." Because it's in the sense where it's like sometimes when people go through shit, they can rise above that and get better, but sometimes when you get kicked down, it feels like all of your progress is gone and you're back to square one. And I felt that a lot of times in my life, especially when the COVID pandemic happened. And I kind of, the point I wanted to make with that chapter, or at least with one of the messages, is no matter how many times you get kicked down, you can always get back up. But yes, it is in fact a hidden truth. People die when they are killed. Funny enough. And if you die in Canada, you die in real life. But
I mean, I would love it if we could all develop like bullet immunity at one point.
that would be cool. I just want like powers from like fantasy games. Like I want to be like a paladin in real life. I'm totally not obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3 right now. What do you guys mean? Okay, but I guess we can get started on some questions now if that sounds good with you guys. And Ranko, if there's questions you would like to ask too, you're more than welcome to.
I will save my questions for once everybody else has had a chance to go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna Baldur's Gate 3. I'm gonna scroll back in chat and see what some of the questions there. Oh my fucking god. Um see what the questions are. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Down, down, down by the river. Okay, here's one. Do you have any regrets for Bad Apple? Shit, who was the person who said that? Oh my god. Sorry guys. I've never had this many people in a stream before, so I'm kind of not used to this. Fuck, where was the question? Uh, was there any regrets for Bad Apple by Heretic? Um, there was I guess a few regrets I had, like particularly I wasn't sure like if I should have had the hallucinations be more ambiguous as to what they were, like whether or not they were whether or not they were just figments of Anon's imagination manifested from his guilt, and or like if I wanted to have that be like spirits haunting him from the other side. And I feel like I kind of wondered if I should have made that more ambiguous, but sometimes I regret it, but other times I feel like it was important for like serving as kind of like a representation of Anon's growth and Anon's mental state, like how the hallucinations start off as like vicious or evil, kind of to show where Anon is at in the story, like how he hates himself and he thinks everything that's happened is his fault, and yeah, stuff like that. And then how they become more docile over time and even supportive to show like how Anon is beginning to forgive himself and kind of realize what's happened. But I'm gonna see if there's more questions. But yeah, that's kind of some of the regrets I have, and of course another regret too is like not introducing the pet names sooner, like Starlight and Moonlight, like because I remember one of the I'm not sure if not criticisms, but one of the feedback I've gotten is they should have like a cutesy kind of pet name rather than just baby or babe, like. And I felt like Starlight and Moonlight would be a fun take on it, considering Stella's affinity with stars and astrology, and because Stella means star, I think, in Latin, if I'm remembering it correctly, and like Moonlight because I feel like it would be a good opposite, and because, Anon, like, see this? Yeah, you don't see this. Moon. But, yeah, let me see what other questions here. There's a lot in chat right now.
Actually, I managed to find one for you from Phantasmore Phantom. He's asking, so what drove you to write Bad Apple in the first place?
Hmm. Well, I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but I guess what drove me was just seeing what everybody was able to make with it, with the fix, like, Bald Lights, but, just seeing the stories people they made, especially the ones about redemption, finding, light in the darkest of times. Um, it kind of inspired me to make my own take on it, particularly with ending one, and as well as like using the emotions I gained through playing Snoot Game, particularly the bad endings. And because I've been wanting to get back into writing for a while now, like prior to that, and I think that's what drove me to do it too. There's probably a better explanation earlier in the video. I apologize about that. But okay, I'm gonna see what the other
Got another one, this time from the incredible Starman Super. Love your work, by the way, amigo. So he says, got a few. What sort of writing experience did you have prior to Bad Apple, besides the earlier fanfic you mentioned? Did you do writing in school or take any courses on writing?
Well, funny enough, yes, I did. Like, I mentioned earlier, fucking cable. Sorry. Like, when I was 12, I wrote a fan fiction like of the game Blaze Blue, which is it was really shitty, and I don't think I even have the fic anymore. So I think that was the only experience I had for a while. But like going through school, like I found like the main subjects that really stood out to me were English and and drama. Like I particularly found like I love making stories that allow me to be creative. Like one of the stories I remember doing was an assignment in my last year of high school, grade 12. We were reading The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I think that was his name. But rest in peace by the way. And our teacher wanted us to kind of write an alternate ending, and I decided to go with the darker one where, the kid loses his father to a fire worshipping cult, and then he becomes this hardened survivor himself. And then when I went on to college, like I studied media foundations in my first year, which had a lot of writing related program or courses as well. Like I remember writing like a high fantasy kind of short story, like for one of the assignments in my first semester. And I guess just those experiences, it's made me want to get back into writing, and thankfully I was able to do that with Bad Apple. Okay, Saber Phantom, why no Stella feet? No, I'm the I'm thankfully not under the influence of Dan Schneider right now. Sleep deprivation. Thoughts on pineapple pizza? Heresy.
Ah, no, my amigo, no.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza. Pineapple on pizza is perhaps one of the gifts of God to man and monsters alike.
It is absolute heresy. By Sigma, I shall smite you. I need to get my sword out for it. It wouldn't be a stream if I didn't grab my sword. That's not a euphemism, by the way. Like, I mean, like, I have an actual ass sword. Yeah.
He's bringing the blade out.
Yeah, although it's, like, blunted. Although, I need to wrap the handle. I kind of had, like, got, like, some leather wire from Michael's and kind of rewrap the handle myself. But I need to get a better job on it. Or do a better job at it.
It's your emotional support blade.
Exactly. I sleep with it every night because guns are illegal in Canada, so I have to go with the next best thing.
I keep a bat right next to my bed, and then a shotgun right on top of my freaking computer because I have problem with coyotes and skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers.
Yeah, screw them skinwalkers, seriously.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so found another question for you. You might have already technically answered this, but you might as well, go into more details.
Yeah, of course.
So this one's coming from Mr. Onion, and he's asking, how did you come up with the Starlight and Moonlight pet names?
Well, funny enough, like, kind of going back to what I was saying with the pet names is I kind of wanted to have a unique pet name for them too. No, I know, don't worry, don't worry. But, I wanted to have a unique nickname for them, kind of like, something rather than just, like, them calling each other baby and whatnot. And I feel like Starlight and Moonlight would be fitting since, Stella's affinity with star signs and astrology, and Anon, I guess, so he had a pet name that matched Stella's, and a part of it was also a joke because of his shiny bald head, kind of like the moon. But, yeah. Alrighty. So,
Okay, got another one for you, and this one's a goodie. It's from Just Some Meddler, and he's asking, you got any plans on any epilogue? It would be fantastic to see stuff like how are Anon and Stella doing when they are... I don't know if I should say that since it counts as a spoiler.
yeah.
But
Well,
those who know, know.
yeah. I mean, like, I have thought about it, but, I kind of intended the ending to be kind of like a definitive kind of ending where it's like, I mean, it's kind of what happens with Anon and Stella for those who know. But I kind of wanted to give it a hope where it's like they have a positive and hopeful future ahead of them, and like no matter what comes, they'll face it together. But I did think about like maybe having not necessarily some epilogues, but like something to like expand the story. Like I thought about having maybe like chronicles, would that be the right word, or kind of like bonus chapters, I guess? Like using Snoot Game terms, like maybe what was going on with Mo behind the scenes, like what kind of drove him to be more understanding towards Anon and him trying to get Trish out of his business, or like what did Ripley went through like after losing everything, or maybe like stuff with Reed, or maybe like Anon and Stella during their times in university, like in between the big time skip, and or maybe just I guess trying to think what else. Maybe like Rosa, like her first year or first couple of days at school, like fresh after she just lost her father. Like maybe stuff like that as a way of kind of expanding the story, if that makes sense. But that is something I have thought about doing in the past, or lately, I guess, but I'm not sure when, if that makes sense. But yeah. Also, Why the Name by Sue Lulamoon. Why the Name? Bad Apple is not an intuitive name. I don't figure out the meaning unless it is a Tohu reference. Well, it is a reference to the song, specifically the Liz Robinette cover from 2013, because that song kind of inspired, I guess, or at least gave me sorry, the ideas as to where to go about with my story, as well as kind of give me an idea with the emotions I wanted to um, write for it. I'm messing up my words a lot right now, so I'm sorry about that. But I thought it would be a cool kind of like idea, and especially because like Anon, I guess, kind of sees himself as a bad apple, shall we say? There were so many times where I wanted to have a character say like, "I always knew you were a bad apple, Anon," but I had to restrain myself because that would just sound too silly. Like especially in, let's say for example, Anon and Ripley's conversation. Like I kind of wanted to have Ripley say that to him, but I feel like it kind of would have made the vibes lose some of its impact a lot. Um,
It would have been a bit of flanderization, yeah. Also, uh, you basically got that shout out too in Puppet Pals, so don't forget about that.
yeah, and I really appreciate that, JJ. If you're watching the stream again, thank you again. That was an honor. But and Faust too. And some guy 6969 asks if you could speak with Bad Apple Anon, say somehow finding yourselves at a coffee shop, would there be anything you wanted to say to him? I guess cuz I'm addicted to coffee, so I would probably be at a coffee shop. If there's one thing I wanted to say to him, at least at the beginning of the chapter, is that like it it must be hard what he's going through, but like I wanted to tell him like don't give up, just keep pushing through it. You're stronger than you realize, and you can be better than this. Like, and kind of tell him that just because things are bad now doesn't mean they'll always be bad. It's kind of like try to give him hope, if that makes sense. Like, as for what I would say to him. And Ranger Combs asks, I have a question. When writing the story, did you go with the flow or did you have it thought out entirely? I know some things were set in stone, but I'm curious about it. There was actually kind of like a mix of both. Like, the majority of it was already set in stone. Like, I kind of had the whole chapter kind of scoped, or the whole kind of timeline scoped out before I even published the first chapter, but there were some things that were kind of like I figured out as I went along, like the I think the nightmare scene in chapter 3 where, they're all like melting in front of Anon and Fang like strikes him before he wakes up. I think that was something I came up with on the spot, and then I guess Trish attacking Stella and Anon at the mall, that was one too. And oh, another big one. Chapter 8 originally didn't exist when I was writing, like when I was like scoping out Bad Apple. Like originally it was just going to be the chapter afterwards where Anon gets evicted from his apartment and goes to live with Stella. Because I feel like it would have been good to have a chapter that kind of shows them together in a situation that isn't hindered by any external kind of conflict. Just them on a date together, strengthening their bond. And I also wanted to kind of have uh, Stella be the POV to kind of, what's the way, show her growth, like how far she's come, as well as kind of like show, I guess, how she's been handling things, especially with she's getting better at handling her anxiety. But um oh, another thing that I originally didn't plan until like as I was writing the chapter, um Reed and Rosa ending up together in the last chapter. Like,
Spoilers.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spoil the fic that's about answering questions to the fic.
Yeah, I can say it's all right. I mean, this is the post fic stream after all, so
Yeah. But trying to let's see what other questions. Starman Super, what sort of lessons did you learn through your writing as far as the style of in which you write? Do you have any takeaways that will help you guide your future work and challenges you overcame in your style? Yes, absolutely. This is an awesome question, by the way. Um, so I wasn't really experienced when it comes to scoping things out or like figuring out the best way to write. Because, like I mentioned, I didn't have a ton of experience beforehand. But I think some of the things it's really helped me figure out is kind of laying out the groundwork. Like, what do I want this entire story to be like? Or I have, like, I guess, storyboards, but they're not really storyboards, they're more so outlines of how I want the chapter to be. And so it's kind of like, think of like art when you do sketches to kind of give an idea of like what you want your art piece to be. Like, I feel like that helps me get a better idea of what to write. I guess another thing it's helped me figure out is figuring. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart again. Um, Determining, I guess, how characters should be developed, like in something that makes sense to their characters, whether or not they rise or they fall, or something in the sense where they're not entirely the same people they were at the beginning of the story. Like, for example, Anon is a depressed mess at the beginning of the story, and he ends the story as this selfless, loving friend or boyfriend who has a deep sense of empathy, even to people who have tried to hurt him, trying to understand where they're coming from. Like, I guess laying the groundwork and laying the or figuring out how characters develop. That's what Bad Apple has really helped me a lot. Although I do really want to try more stories that are written in third person. Like, I feel like Bad Apple had to be in first person, but if there was the next story I plan to write, whether it's like, I think I have one fic planned, but and then like there's the I might have talked about it on Twitter, like this novel series idea I had, like that I want to write in third person. And challenges I overcame, particularly the ADHD or just the lack of focus, especially when I had a lot of chapters ahead of me and it felt very daunting to kind of be able to finish this all, because there was times where I felt like, fuck, am I even gonna be able to finish like Bad Apple? Like there's a lot of stuff to write, and I wasn't sure if the Snoot community would still be alive like in time. I was remember thinking that in like I think the summer of 2022, and God, was I wrong with, the Kotaku article, in fact, bringing more attention to Snoot Game, and just the Spanish community blowing up, people streaming the game, and GVH coming out. It became more popular than I thought it would be. And gonna ask some more questions, I guess.
There was one question earlier. I'm trying to find it again. But someone was asking if there were plans for like a hard copy version of Bad Apple.
Oh, well, I have actually thought of that. I just wasn't sure if that would be legal or not. Because I know it's based on somebody else's work, which is based on another person's works. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't sell it. I would. Or maybe I would. I don't know. But, it would be really cool to, it would be cool to make a hard copy.
Ah, I found it. I found it. So yeah, the person that was asking for the hard copy question, they were Alistair Fox. Thank you for the question.
Alright, sounds good, Starman. Uh, sorry, what did Alistair Fox say again?
They were the ones who asked the question about the hard copy.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But, I have been thinking about that. I just gotta figure out how to go about it. And, Yeezus Man95, where did the idea of French Stella come from? That's actually a good question, and I think the person who's with me has a great idea to answer that if you want to.
Yeah, that will probably be my area of expertise because that just so happens, some of you folks may know, but those that don't, I actually have worked with the original Snoot Game developers as a writer, and I'm currently working on Wani as well. So I think I'm the most qualified one to answer that question. And the reason that Stella is French was one because of the name. Like, as it turns out, the name Stella is a bit more common with French folks than it is with other folks, even though it technically originates from Latin and Italy. That's one. And then the other reason was because, if I recall correctly, one of the very, very, very original descriptions for Stella in the co op website, we're talking about like weeks after the reveal of the trailer and all that, it mentioned that Stella had was French or was French adjacent. Yeah, that of course ended up changing along the way, but that was one of the very early mentions of it. I do recall correctly. And then, of course, there's also the whole fact that GVH is, like a
French
Canadian
Canadian.
French, yeah, French Canadian product. So that also kind of like, that kind of would go hand in hand with that as well.
Yeah. Although it's funny because like when I was playing Snoot Game, I kind of had I kind of thought Stella was supposed to be Asian at first, but then I remembered the existence of weeaboos, so probably not.
Well, the thing about weeboos is that they're for some reason French people are also like well, they're like fanatics of anime, especially like they've developed a couple of their own. For example, there's Ulysses 31. There's also there's several others that were actually animated partially in France.
Yeah, there's a lot of good like French animated shows. Like there was actually one I really liked as a kid called Dragon Hunters, but yeah. And I guess like having that information, that's why I kind of wanted to go with French Stella as well as like uh, her last name Baudelaire. Like I've had some people kind of ask like was that supposed to be a reference to Charles Baudelaire? But the fun fact is like I had no idea who Charles Baudelaire was. I just liked that name Baudelaire cuz I remember being a fan of, if you guys have read or seen a series of unfortunate events, the main kids or in the show are called the Baudelaire orphans, and that name kind of stuck out for me. And I felt like when I was experimenting with last names, I feel like Stella Baudelaire um, had the best ring to it. But let's see. Did anybody else have any questions like regarding some of the characters or kind of the plot points? No, I am curious, like there was some other last name ideas I had for her.
Uh, I think if I remember correctly, I gave you the suggestion to use La Blanche at one point, but that's because that's the last name that I was using for a better end for Stella in that story.
Yeah. That is a nice name, Stella LeBlanche. Or Stella LeBlanc, is that?
I believe it will be La Blanc, La Blanche. I say La Blanche because that's how we would say it in Spanish. La Blanche.
Yeah. Um and I had the idea, or maybe it was your idea, that I kind of got an idea. Toussaint, Stella Toussaint. Um, I was AFK midstream. Did you answer my? What was your question again? Sorry. Sorry. There's just like I was not expecting chat to blow up this much. Uh.
Okay, while we're waiting for that question, I also. Oh, right. Pea Shooter. I think I know what question. He was asking if. He was asking if Stegostar and Anon actually chatted with each other, you know, like around chapter one or prior to chapter one.
Um, I would say probably not, considering like Anon was just kind of shutting himself away and just mindlessly just trying to dull the pain, and Stella, I guess like since she was struggling with PTSD and just kind of everything, I guess they kind of fell out of contact for a while like afterwards. So, so probably not. Oh, and Ranger Combs. I have another question. What is your take on PTSD and its effect on people? I saw it in your fic, and your take on it is very unique. I can't find. I can't. If you can't answer, that's fine. I was just wondering. Um, I guess my take on PTSD and what it does to people is like I'm not sure if it was officially PTSD I went through, but I know going through something very traumatic, like whether it's like you lose someone close to you, or you were abused, or you were attacked, or anything like that, it's like there will be certain things that kind of upset you or that remind you of that event, and just that'll trigger that same kind of fear you felt then. Like, I mean, I'm probably not the most qualified, but I guess for me, um, as for how PTSD affected me, I guess it was when my father passed away. Like, I heard nothing but crying, like for the past like couple of days, and like I for the longest time I kept on like hearing random noises, thinking they're like somebody's crying, although it's not like auditory hallucinations. It's more so like there's something that my brain registers as crying, and I guess I guess that's one way it affected me. But I'm I'm probably not sure, like, because it's unique with everybody, like, because something like that would affect everyone in different ways, you know. But I hope that helps. I'm not the best when it comes to like specific terms of psychology, though. But what was your question, Rangto?
I believe my question was brought up and already answered earlier.
Oh, hmm.
I could come up with another question though. Give me just a second.
Yeah, it's up to you. No worries. Just gonna have some water. Hmm. Oh, how do you guys like my poster in the background? There we go. You can't see it well, but the one right there is actually a Berserk poster I got from Fan Expo, like I think a year ago. Oh, and also, were the visual hallucinations caused by both PTSD or schizophrenia, or was it just caused by one factor? I think the way I wrote it, it was mainly caused by PTSD. Like, Anon refers to himself as a schizo, but in the same sense where like people would use that as an insult, like get a get out of here, you fucking schizo, or something like that. But I would say like the PTSD really had an impact on his psyche to the point where like he was seeing hallucinations, and the guilt he was feeling was strong enough to create something like that. And Max 333 asks, "Would you like to make a sequel with Reed and Rosa explaining how they became a couple?" Going back to what I said earlier about the chronic or the anthology kind of idea. That's the word, anthology. The anthology I kind of had for like additional characters in Bad Apple. That is actually one of the things I was thinking about too, especially since the whole Rosa and Reed getting together wasn't a thing until like as I was writing the chapter. But that is something I would like to explore. I kind of wanted like readers to kind of have their own take on it, but it would be cool to kind of write something about that myself. Yeah. And also thank you, J Markai. If I'm saying that right, please correct me if I'm wrong. But if anybody like there's any other questions anybody wants to ask, feel free to. Otherwise, like I will I can get on to, I guess, some of the wrap up details, and I also have a very special announcement to make too. But oh, Ranger Combs asks, I forgot to say it was caused by sleep deprivation, because I know without sleep your mind starts to degrade. I would say, like, for Anon, that kind of made it worse, but his sleep deprivation was caused by his PTSD because the hallucinations and nightmares were, like, really fucking him up to the point where, like, he was afraid to go to sleep because of, the nightmares he would have. So he would drug himself with Adderall and drink, like, enough caffeine to kill an elephant because he was afraid of having to deal with those dreams where either he was back in that school and seeing, like, all of those people die in more gruesome ways than it actually happened. But I would say, like, the sleep deprivation cause definitely made it worse. Yeah. This is good water, by the way. Oh, let me, uh, sorry, just a second. But, trying to think. My brain's kind of foggy now. But,
Well, we have been live for 70 minutes, so
that is true.
I think
Oh,
we should start. Oh, hold on.
yeah,
There's some in the chat.
there is, a fanfic called Broken Heart of Gold, which covers Samantha's life after ending one and is taking details from Bad Apple, like Anon and Stella being a couple, and what do you think about it? I'm actually pretty honored, honestly. Like, I've been reading it, and I definitely really like it. The only criticisms I have, I guess, with it was, spoilers for the latest chapter when, like, they started calling each other Starlight and Moonlight, kind of like Anon and Stella did in the last chapter. Like, I feel like since that story takes place I think I think it was 5 or 4 years after ending one, and they only started calling each other those pet names until, like, chapter 6 or 7, I think it was. I felt like it was a bit sudden in that context, but other than that, I've been really liking the fic, and I highly recommend it if you guys are looking for post ending one fix. But sorry, what were you saying, Ranko? I forgot again.
No, I was saying that since we've been streaming for 71 minutes, probably it's wise to start wrapping up and whatnot.
Yeah. Alrighty, so yeah, I think we're going to wrap up things here too. And if you guys have any other questions, I'm going to have this video up as a, or just leave this stream up as a video on YouTube, and you can ask more comment or questions in the comments below, and I can answer them as best as I can. And I'm also going to be trying to include a written kind of version of this, kind of like as a transcript, I guess, or that has, like, all the questions and answers and background details, as like a new chapter for Bad Apple on AO3. But but it's definitely been such an incredible experience and journey writing this story, and when I set out to write it, I never would have imagined in a million years that so many people would like it so much, and it really, like, warms my heart and means a lot to what you guys have had to say about it. But and speaking of that, like, there is one very special, or oh, let me answer this question. Was Trish ever supposed to be redeemed, or was it planned for her to off herself in the last chapter since the very beginning? Sadly, it was always planned for her to die. I did have some ideas where she lived, but I feel like having her die would was necessary, like, particularly as a way of showing, like, how the main quote of the story that's brought up a lot, um everyone's fighting their own battles, and what Mo said in one of the chapters, everyone's fighting their own battles, but the sad truth is not everyone wins those battles. And Trish fought, and sadly, just her hatred and sadness became too strong to the point where it consumed her. But, yeah. But there is also another very special announcement I would like to make. Let me just get it all set up here, because it can be a little fucky wucky at times. Da 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 da. Just a moment. Let me see. I really hope it does not. Oh, does it show the thing on the stream?
It is playing now.
Okay, let me just change that. There. Crap. Sorry guys, one moment. Fit to screen. Okay. So yeah, I have here. Hold on. Shit. Sorry guys. Okay, let's see. Oh wow, it's not even playing. Okay, gonna have to try this again. Just having some technical difficulties right now. Sorry about that, guys. I promise I'll have this sorted out in just a moment. Really professional here.
Technology sure is something, ain't it?
Indeed, indeed. Okay. Should be good. Let me just, okay. Hopefully it plays, but yes, I have a special announcement for you guys. Okay, let's fix that before you guys all see my desktop, but yeah, probably might have been able to figure it out like through other sources, but I am happy to officially announce that we are now working on a mod adaptation for Bad Apple. I don't want to say anything too soon because I don't want to like say like it's coming very 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 soon and like have you guys wait too long, but I just wanted to tell you guys of its existence and it's happening now. And I might have a little help with it too.
Hey, it's happening.
Yeah. But we've got a team assembled, and if we are also looking for potential people who might be interested on working on it, so coders for example or anything like that, we always welcome the help. But I think that is where we're gonna wrap things up right now. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. It always means a lot to hear what you guys have to say and just the support you've shown me like throughout this, and I hope I can continue to make content for you guys to enjoy, whether or not it's written or otherwise, or videos I mean. But yeah, thank you guys so much. You can always find more updates for me on Twitter, and of course I upload here on YouTube, but I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Umbruhh out.